Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in another video today. And today we're going to be talking about a trade that will get the Houston Texans not only CJ Stroud in this NFL draft, but also Will Anderson. And I might be saying, what? How do you get two guys that are expected to both go in the top four? Here's how. The Texans are sitting at the 11th overall pick in this year's draft. And they soared Jeremiah, I can't think of his last name, Jeremiah's last mock draft, which was 20 hours ago. In his mock draft, he has the Texans drafting C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson, with the Houston Texans trading up with the Arizona Cardinals from 11 to 3. And we're going to talk about a trade that would get the Houston Texans, Will Anderson, from jumping up from 11 to 3. I would love this for the Texans. It would be a huge move. Let's go over it. So here's what the trade would be to get to number 3 and get Will Anderson, a superstar, who will be a superstar for the Houston Texans, most likely. You give up, obviously, the 11th overall pick. So the Cardinals are getting the 11th overall pick. You're going to have to give extra picks. So that's why you give pick 33, which is the first pick of the second round, which is basically like another first-round pick. I mean, usually the first 5 picks of the second round is about first-round talent. And I think this year is basically like that. Maybe not 5, maybe 4, 3 guys that can definitely go in the first round that won't go in the first round. So basically like getting another first-rounder with the first pick in the second round. So you get pick 33 and pick 11. Also have them receiving a 7th-round pick, which is the Texans' last pick in this year's draft at 259. Also have them receiving the Browns' first-round pick for 2024 that the Texans received in the Deshaun Watson trade, and defensive end Jerry Hughes. So ultimate package, the Cardinals are receiving 6 things, and the Texans are receiving 2. Texans are receiving the 3rd overall pick and the 66th overall pick in the draft. So the Texans are getting number 66 and number 3 in return for number 11, number 33, number 259, so number 11, number 33, number 259, Jerry Hughes, defensive end, who had a great season with the Texans last year, and the Texans' first-round pick from the Cleveland Browns that they received in the Deshaun Watson trade a year ago. So you get they get a first-round pick, the 11th overall pick, the 33rd overall pick, and Jerry Hughes, and a 7th-round pick, which is at the end of the draft, for the 3rd overall pick and a beginning 3rd-round pick. So I think the Cardinals would do it. I mean, they're only jumping down 8 spots, not 8 spots. They're jumping up 9 spots because the Texans are drafting at 12. That's my bad. I thought we were at 11 for a second. So they're getting the 12th overall pick with the 2024. So they're getting 2 first-round picks, only going down 9 picks. Getting a first-round pick for next year, which should be a pretty decent pick. I don't think the Browns will be better. I think the Browns will be better next season than they were last year, but I don't think it's going to be as low as 12, but I think that pick should be around 15 to 18. So you're going to get around a first-round pick next year, around 15 to maybe 19, 20 in that area. And then you're getting a nice veteran in Jerry Hughes, who that really helped with the defensive line a lot after losing some talent on the defensive line with J.J. Watt retiring and Zach Allen leaving for the Broncos. So you get Hughes, 2 first-round picks, basically another first-round pick with that 33rd pick, but it's this first pick in the second round, and a 7th-round pick. But you also have to give up a 3rd-rounder with that 3rd overall pick. Hey, if I'm the Cardinals, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Texans fan, if I'm the Cardinals right there, I'd do that deal. The Cardinals do not want to draft at 3. They want to get some assets. I think that could be the best offer out of any teams in the NFL. You're getting a first this year with 11. You're getting a first next year that should be around 14 to 18, 19 in that area. Or maybe even earlier, just depending on how the Browns do next season. And then they're getting a nice veteran with Jerry Hughes, 33rd overall pick, and a 7th-round pick that they can maybe get a decent veteran player. Not a veteran player, but a decent player that could turn into a decent veteran, or they can trade that and maybe trade up. But I think that's going to possibly be one of the best offers the Cardinals will get for the third overall pick. And if you view this for the Texans, not only do they get an extra pick with that that third round pick, but they get the talent, they desperately need. It would make sense for the Texans. They're struggling with their decision on, we're going to draft the quarterback, we're going to draft Will Anderson, and in this scenario, they get both. They get CJ Stroud at 2. They get, or however they want to do it. I mean, if they want to draft Will Anderson at 2 and then CJ Stroud at 3, I don't think it really freaking matters which one they do. In that case, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what they would do. I don't think it really matters who goes first. They're both going to the same team if that trade happens. But in that case, I think the Texans would be, they'd probably be the biggest draft winner. You get Stroud, you get Will Anderson. You also have 3 third-round picks after that. You don't have a second anymore because you would have traded that to the Cardinals. But then you have 3 thirds at 65, 66, and 73. Then you have 1 fourth, 1 fifth, and 1 sixth and 1 seventh, if I'm correct. So the draft picks of the Texans after the first round would be really nice with 3 third-round picks. So if you have the chance to do that trade, you have to give it 2 firsts, and you have to give up an early second this year in this draft, and a veteran and a 7th round pick. But if you have the chance to do that deal, I go for it. I think it's a W for the Texans. It makes them an even better team than they would be if they just drafted one of these guys. I think the Texans would be decent next year, like maybe 5-12, 6-11, with drafting maybe one of these guys. But I think there's a chance the Texans can be 7-10, maybe 8-9, and maybe have a shot to win the division with both of these guys next season. And I know that sounds crazy, but adding in a quarterback like CJ Stroud with how much arm talent he has and how many decent wide receivers in this offense, with guys like Noah Brown, Robert Woods, John Mechie, possibly teaming up with his Ohio State teammate Jackson Smith-Jigba in this year's draft, and then Nico Collins having those 5 wide receivers, having 2 running backs and Damian Pierce going in his second year, Devin Singletary, who's the Bears' starting running back last season. He had 800 rushing yards last season as the starter. Now he's going to be our backup. You signed Dalton Schultz. I think he had 665 receiving yards last season and 4 touchdowns. Had 2 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns in the wild card game against the Bucs. He's your new starting tight end, along with a long listed tight end depth with Brevin Jordan and a couple other guys with the Texans tight end group. So the offense has improved for your rookie quarterback. The defense has improved. Number one, the big addition is Will Anderson. The second big addition is D'Amico Ryans being the runner of the defense, basically the defensive coordinator. He's controlling the defense and everything they do. He's just a smart-minded defensive coach. So you have him. I think he's a big difference in how the Texans defense plays different. They added in Denzel Perryman. They added in possibly Will Anderson if they do this trade. They got John Grenard returning for another season next season. They have young guys like Christian Harris, Jalen Petrie, and hopefully a fully healthy Derek Stingley Jr. next season that they drafted last year's draft. They added in veteran from San Francisco, Jimmy Ward. So their defense has improved. So I think ultimately, not only D'Amico coming in for the Texans and the staff he's brought in for the Texans, and then these 2 picks, I think the Texans can be a really decent football team next season. If the Texans can get that trade off with Arizona, I do it. I go for it without a doubt, and hopefully maybe the Texans can make it work. We'll see what happens if the Texans trade up for 3. That's it for the video. If you guys enjoy them, your thoughts on the potential trade, and peace out. Go Texans.